Today, we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a prolific orator and prophet of his time, whose words still resonate in 2021. When we look back at American history, it is incredible to see how great strides have been made toward fair and equal treatment under the law. Yet, we are still left wanting. A dark stain resides on American history: slavery and the sin of racism. The racial divide continues today, even after slavery ended when Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution in 1865. 5 years later, the 15th Amendment was ratified, prohibiting states from denying the right to vote on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. However, post the Civil War, roadblocks were created to prevent Black people from voting. Fast forward almost 100 years. The civil rights movement was in full swing, and voting rights activists were subjected to violence at the hands of citizens and law enforcement personnel. In his Give Us the Ballot address, delivered at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington on May 17, 1957, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "All types of conniving methods are still being used to prevent Negroes from becoming registered voters. The denial of this sacred right is a tragic betrayal of the highest mandates of our democratic tradition. Give us the ballot, and we will no longer have to worry the federal government about our basic rights. Give us the ballot, and we will transform the salient misdeeds of bloodthirsty mobs into the calculated good deeds of orderly citizens." In this juncture of our nation's history, there is an urgent need for dedicated and courageous leadership. This dearth of positive leadership from the federal government is not confined to one particular political party. Both political parties have betrayed the cause of justice. The hour is late. The clock of destiny is ticking out. We must act now before it is too late. There is still a voice crying out through the vista of time, saying, "Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use you." That same voice cries out in terms lifted to cosmic proportions: "He who lives by the sword will perish by the sword." We must follow nonviolence and love. I conclude by saying that each of us must keep faith in the future. This is the long faith of the Hebraic Christian tradition, that God is not merely a self-knowing God, but an other-loving God, forever working through history for the establishment of his kingdom. Year after year, this struggle continued. In March 1965, in response to Bloody Sunday, where Dr. King and others were beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, President Lyndon Johnson signed into law the Voting Rights Act, which outlawed discriminatory voting practices and reinforced the guarantees of the 14th and 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. Dr. King's words, spoken on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial 64 years ago, ring true today in 2021. Voting is a sacred right we should never take for granted. I am forever grateful to those Black, brown, and white brothers and sisters that came together alongside Dr. King to make America better. It is our duty to continue that legacy. I pray that one day America will truly repent of past wrongs and be reconciled to the hope of an expectant future, one in which discourse is without rancor, petty politics and self-interest take a back seat to a higher cause, and every man, woman, boy, and girl can fulfill their purpose for the greater good.